Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. La ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Man dzal ladzi yasfahu indahu illa bi iznih. Ya'lamu ma baina aydihim wa ma khalfahum. Wa la yuhituna bi syai'in min ilmihi illa bima syaa. Wasi'al kursiyyuhus samawati wal ard wa la ya'udzuhu hifdzuhuma wa huwal aliyyul azim. Ratna. Ratna! Ya ma'syaral jinni wal insi in istata'tum an tanfuzu min aqtaris samawati wal ardi fanfuzu. La tanfuzuna illa bisultan.
The movie opens with, we see several people carrying a dead body to a cemetery to bury it. At the graveyard, the body is lowered into the grave. Suddenly, it starts raining. Bahri tries to climb out of the grave, but fails. He insists that the burial must be completed that same day. Then, while still inside the grave, he gives the a'an and prays for the peace of the deceased person's soul. Later that same night, a hand is seen slowly emerging from the grave. The scene then cuts and moves 4 days back in time. 4 days earlier, Bahri is working as a mechanic in a garage. His boss tells him that a customer has arrived. Bahri is busy fixing an ignition problem in a car. The customer turns out to be Hassan, Bahri's old friend. Hassan greets him by calling him Ustad Bahri. However, Bahri quickly stops him and tells him to just call him Bahri. Hassan explains that his car has an acceleration problem. Since the engine is overheated, they take a break and start talking while drinking coffee. Hassan tells Bahri that he actually came all the way to Jakarta just to find him. Bahri is surprised and asks how Hassan managed to locate him. Hassan replies that he knows Bahri has recently been released from prison, but he still believes Bahri is a good person. Bahri responds bitterly, saying that no one cares about him anymore. Hassan then begins talking about the problems in their village, Mekarsari, and asks Bahri to return with him. He explains that a very terrifying atmosphere has taken over the village. Hassan also mentions a girl named Ratna, who is seriously ill. Every day at exactly 6 p.m., she starts screaming in unbearable pain. Doctors and everyone else have failed to diagnose her illness. Hassan further explains that the village's old spiritual master is now very old and sick, so they desperately need Bahri's help. However, Bahri refuses to go. He says he is no longer the same person he used to be, and that he has left his past behind. After that, Bahri finishes repairing Hassan's car. Hassan tries to pay him, but Bahri refuses to take the money. Before leaving, Hassan once again requests Bahri to come back to the village. He gives him a respectful salam and then drives away. After Hassan leaves, the garage owner scolds Bahri. He tells him that Bahri could have replaced the old parts with new ones and charged the customer more money, but Bahri chose not to do that. According to the garage owner, it's just a smart business trick, but Bahri thinks it's dishonest and unfair to the customers. The owner rudely reminds Bahri that he's an ex-convict, and because of that, he won't find a job anywhere else except this garage. Left with no choice, Bahri reluctantly agrees with the owner and decides to replace the car parts as instructed. That night, when Bahri falls asleep, a corpse wrapped in a burial shroud suddenly appears right above his face. But when he opens his eyes, there's nothing there. Confused, Bahri goes back to sleep. A moment later, he hears Ratna screaming in terror. Bahri rushes outside and sees Ratna inside a car, chained and trapped. She desperately begs Bahri to save her. But suddenly, Ratna disappears right in front of him. Shaken by what he just witnessed, Bahri quickly packs his backpack and decides to leave for the village. On the way, he comes across a terrible car accident on the road. The next day, Ratna's mother tries to feed her. At that moment, a man named If arrives and starts yelling at Ratna's mother. He calls Ratna a burden on the village and insults their entire family. He even brings up Ratna's father's old debts and suicide, suggesting that both mother and daughter should end their lives as well. Despite the humiliation, Ratna's mother calmly replies that life and death are not in their hands. Just then, Ratna suddenly starts screaming in pain again. Meanwhile, Bahri finally returns to the village and meets Hassan. Hassan feels relieved to see him alive. Bahri tells him that he wants to help Ratna. However, Hassan warns him that the people in the village have been acting very strange lately and advises him to meet Abba. So Bahri goes to visit his teacher, Abba. Even though Abba is very sick, he becomes happy after seeing Bahri and reminds him about his favorite food from the old days. Bahri tells him that he missed him a lot. Abba gives Bahri permission to stay in his old room. He regrets that if he hadn't been sick, he could have helped Ratna and the villagers. Abba's wife tells him to get some rest and asks one of the students to escort Bahri to his room. In a flashback, Bahri is seen sitting when Ratna comes and returns the book she had borrowed. They start discussing the love story of Layla and Marin. Ratna says that a love filled only with loneliness and pain can never be something good. Then she tells Bahri that Abba wants him to teach the new students Shirat, the recitation of the Quran. Just then, a boy named Seb shows up and suddenly proposes marriage to Ratna. He starts joking about whether it's acceptable to kiss before marriage. Feeling uncomfortable, Ratna says she has a class and quickly leaves. Bahri scolds Ab for his disgusting behavior. Ab pretends to be innocent and calls Bahri a hypocrite. He even taunts Bahri about his past relationship with Ratna. The scene cuts back to the present, where Aba calls Bahri and asks him what's wrong. Bahri admits that he is mentally exhausted. He says someone spread false rumors about him and ruined his life, and the friends he once trusted are no longer by his side. Bahri explains that during an exorcism, a patient died, and he was blamed for it and sent to prison. His mother couldn't bear the shock and fell seriously ill. And while Bahri was still in jail, she passed away. Abba comforts him, saying that life and death are all part of fate. Bahri regrets that he wasn't even allowed to attend his mother's funeral while he was in prison. Abba tells him to be patient and asks if he still prays regularly. Bahri says that since childhood, he has never missed a single prayer. Then he asks why all of this had to happen to him. Abba replies that the past cannot be changed and that one must trust Allah's plan. He advises Bahri to pray for his mother, because it's the duty of a good child to pray for their parents. Finally, Abba asks him the real reason he came back. Bahri reveals that he wants to perform an exorcism on Ardiana. In the next scene, Bahri takes Hassan with him to Ratna's house. There he meets Ratna's mother and asks about Ratna's condition. Her mother says that ever since Ratna came back home, she hasn't spoken a single word. Crying desperately, she begs Bahri for help. In her pain, she even says that it would be better for RNA to die than to see her suffer like this. Bahri tells her to keep faith in Allah and promises that he will do everything he can to help. Just then, Ratna suddenly begins writhing in pain. Her mother rushes to her side and Bahri follows right behind. When Bahri looks at Ratna, he is horrified to see that her body has started to rot and worms are crawling out of it. The terrifying sight completely breaks Bahari's courage. He tells Hassan that he can't do this. Hassan calms him down and encourages him. He says that Bahri might have changed, but the power he once had is still alive inside him. Hassan makes one final request, telling Bahri that since he has already come this far, he shouldn't turn back now. After saying that he will come back to pick him up at night, Hassan leaves. Meanwhile, Ratna's condition keeps getting worse. Bahri steps forward to help and asks for some warm water. Then he begins reciting prayers with Ratna. As night falls, the atmosphere becomes even more terrifying. Bahri continues performing Ruqa on Ratna and keeps chanting the name of Allah with deep focus. After a while, Ratna seems to calm down a little, so Bahri gets up to bring a light. But at that exact moment, Ratna suddenly opens her eyes in a horrifying way. When Bahri returns to the room with Ratna's mother, he realizes that Ratna is no longer there. Her mother starts screaming in fear. Bahri tells her to search behind the house. For a brief moment, Ratna appears like a shadow and blows out Bahari's light. Suddenly, Bahri spots Ratna outside the house. He rushes out and sees that she is standing on the roof of the house. Her mother desperately begs her to come down, but suddenly Ratna jumps down onto her mother and starts choking her. Bahri tries to bring Ratna back to her senses, but the evil force inside her begins mocking him. The entity says that Ratna is already dead, just like Bahari's old patients who died before. It then mocks Bahari's faith, saying his belief is weak and telling him to stop pretending to be a holy man. After saying this, Ratna suddenly attacks Bahri. Bahri struggles to defend himself, while Abaha begins praying for them. Suddenly, Ratna lets go of Bahri and collapses unconscious. Bahri and his mother try to bring her back to her senses. Finally, RNA apologizes to her mother, and then she takes her last breath. The next day, during her burial, the villagers start gossiping. Everyone keeps saying that Ratna is finally dead and that her body smells terribly rotten. While they are taking the corpse to the cemetery, some people block their path. Among them is Borhan. He angrily calls Ratna a prostitute and says that if she's buried in the public cemetery, the entire village will become impure. Bahri fires back, saying that the village is being dirtied more by the living people than by any devil, and that Ratna has the right to be buried beside her father's grave. Anyway, Bahri pushes forward with the body. At this point, the scene returns to the opening moment of the movie. We see a Seb and his pregnant wife. She's worried about the nutrition of their unborn baby and says she's craving meat. Her husband reassures her that as soon as he gets some money, he'll buy it for her. Suddenly, she starts craving raw mangoes and mentions that the neighbor's tree is full of them. At first, ASB is scared to climb a tree so late at night, but thinking about his unborn child, he finally agrees. He tells his wife to stay careful and heads out to pick the mangoes. Meanwhile, as soon as ASB's wife goes to draw water from the well, a snake suddenly slithers out. Seeing the snake terrifies her, and she immediately starts bleeding. As the snake slowly moves toward her, she desperately crawls her way into the kitchen. At that very moment, behind her, we briefly see Ratna's corpse standing there. But when ASB's wife turns around, there's nothing there. Then, as she pulls aside the curtain of the main room, she suddenly sees Ratna's ghost standing right in front of her. The terrifying sight makes her faint instantly. The next day, ASF is devastated, crying endlessly for his pregnant wife and their unborn child. He keeps blaming himself, saying he couldn't save anyone. Just then, Dang arrives and directly blames Bahri for everything. He says that despite Ban's warning, Bahri arrogantly buried Ratna, and because of that, the village is now cursed. From that moment on, they start planning to take revenge on Bahri. At the madrasa, Bahri tells Abba that he prayed for Ratna, but something still doesn't feel right in his heart. Abba explains that a prayer shouldn't come only from the lips, it must come from the heart. If someone doubts Allah, their prayers won't be accepted. He advises Bahri to forget the past and move on. Just then, Abba's wife arrives and tells him that some visitors have come, so she takes him away. Soon after, Hassan comes to meet Bahri. Hassan tells him everything that happened to Ratna's family after Bahri left for Jakarta. Ratna's father, crushed under heavy debt, ended up committing suicide. After that, loan sharks began threatening Ratna and her mother, even warning that they would kill or rape them if the money wasn't paid. Hassan also reveals that after some time, Ratna suddenly disappeared. But the strange thing was that after Ratna vanished, her mother unexpectedly started paying off all the debts. Hearing this, Bahri begins to realize that what Ban said earlier might actually be true. So Bahri sets out to find Ban. However, Ban gets angry at Bahri instead. He accuses him, saying that ever since Bahri returned to the village, all the chaos and misfortune have started. Bahri defends himself, saying he's only trying to help people in trouble like a true Muslim. He hasn't done anything wrong. Burhan then reveals Ratna's dark past. He says that in Jakarta he used to work as a bouncer at a nightclub, and Ratna worked there as a sex worker. She was very popular and had relationships with many rich clients. Ratna used to pay Burhan money, so he would keep this secret from the people in the village. Burhan also explains that Ratna eventually quit the job because she became seriously ill. He believes that due to unsafe relationships, she might have contracted a deadly disease. After saying this, Burhan tells Bahri to leave because he has to go to work. That same night, Burhan is sitting at home doing some work when suddenly someone starts calling his name again and again. Burhan steps outside to check and slowly walks toward the forest. Behind a tree, Ratna's ghost is hiding, but Burhan can't see her. Then Ratna calls his name again. Suddenly, Ratna's ghost appears right behind him. Burhan looks down and sees a snake crawling out from inside a burial shroud. Terrified, he immediately runs away from there. Soon after, Dang sees Ratna's ghost in the rearview mirror of his motorcycle. He gets scared, but tries to act brave. He shouts and challenges the evil spirit to show itself, and then quickly rides away from the place. Meanwhile, Burhan somehow manages to escape and sits in his room, still shaken. Just then, his wife walks in and calls him closer. She leans in and kisses him. But in that moment, Burhan realizes something horrifying. That woman isn't his wife, it's Ratna. After a while, when Burhan's wife opens the door, she sees Burhan hanging from a rope after taking his own life. Soon, the news spreads throughout the entire village where Burhan is dead. Meanwhile, Bahri feels deeply guilty and says that he failed to save the villagers. Abba tries to comfort him, explaining that life and death are in Allah's hands and everything is already written. But Bahri sadly says that the villagers are still blaming him for all these deaths. Abba replies that good people often face situations where others think they are crazy or evil. Even then, as human beings, they must keep fighting. He also warns Bahri not to fall into Satan's deception. He explains that when a person dies, they become separated from this world and move into the world of spirits. The same thing has happened with Ratna. Seeing the terrible condition of the village makes Abba very sad. He says that unless a person truly wants to change, even Allah will not change their situation. Abba then reminds Bahri that the special power Allah has given him is something he will have to answer for on Judgment Day. He tells Bahri to forget the past because he is a chosen person, and that is why he has to face such difficult tests. Meanwhile, Ratna's mother goes to her daughter's grave and is shocked to see that Ratna's body is halfway out of the grave. She puts a cloth barrier around the grave to cover it. Then she prays for forgiveness for her daughter's sins and entrusts her to Allah. At the same time, when Bahri steps outside, he sees that a student from the madrasa is under the influence of a jinn. Bahri is about to perform an exorcism when suddenly a girl there also becomes possessed. Then another man gets possessed as well. Everyone struggles to control the three of them. During the chaos, The possessed girl challenges Bahri and mocks him. Bahri tells her to take the name of Allah, but the evil force insults him, calling him a fraud and a fool. Bahri then tells the others to hold them tightly and pray to Allah with all their hearts. Together they begin reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, as Bahri commands the evil spirit to leave their bodies. Finally, the influence of the evil force fades away, and everyone slowly begins returning to normal. Just then, someone arrives with shocking news that Abba's condition has suddenly become very critical. Bahri rushes to see him without wasting a moment. Abba hands his tasmi to Bahri and requests that he always help those who are helpless. After that, Abba peacefully recites the Shahada and passes away. Abba's death leaves Bahri in deep shock. The next day, Abba's funeral prayer is held, but outside the madrasa, the villagers gather and begin shouting slogans against Bahri, demanding that he come outside. Their demand is clear: Bahri must leave the village immediately. Abba's wife strongly protests the villagers' cruel behavior. However, Bahri makes the difficult decision to leave. He clearly states that he is not leaving because he is afraid of them, but to honor the late Abba's respect and to prevent the situation from escalating further. The villagers mock Bahri, saying that if he had buried Abba himself, Abba might have ended up cursed, just like Ratna. Meanwhile, a girl from the city arrives to visit Ratna's grave, but the terrifying condition of Ratna frightens her so badly that she runs away in panic. She quickly boards a bus, where Bahri also happens to be sitting. During their conversation, the girl reveals that she was Radha's friend. She angrily criticizes the villagers for their cruelty. She tells Bahri that she used to work with Radha in the city. A flashback shows that Ratna was very kind. She used to help her friend with money so she could send it to her sick mother. Ratna was very popular among wealthy clients and earned a lot of money. Later, Ban began pressuring Ratna over her father's old debts. He mentioned the susuk, 4 needles embedded in Ratna's body, and demanded even more money from her. Bahri asks who put those susuk needles inside Ratna's body. The girl explains that she heard one of Barhan's friends was the one who inserted them. She also reveals that in order to keep the supernatural power active, Ratna first had to sacrifice a chicken's blood and later the blood of a goat. But eventually, a time came when that dark power demanded something even more terrifying: the sacrifice of Ratna's own mother. Ratna refused to sacrifice her own mother. Because of that decision, she eventually fell seriously ill and left her work behind, returning to the village. As soon as Bahri hears this, he immediately gets off the bus outside the village. The moment he enters the village, he runs into Asap and his companions. Bahri tries to explain the truth to them, but they refuse to listen and suddenly attack him. They start beating him, but Bahri fights back and quickly manages to overpower both of them. Then he grabs Asap and demands to know who placed the deadly charm inside Ratna's body. Asap finally admits that it was Dong who inserted the Suzuk charms. Just then, Hassan arrives at the scene. Bahri takes Hassan with him and heads straight to Dong's hideout. He tells Hassan to stay at a safe distance and keep praying, while he himself walks inside calling on the name of Allah. But the moment Bahri steps inside, he can't believe what he's seeing. The entire place is filled with black magic items and dark ritual objects. Suddenly, Dong appears from behind and launches a surprise attack on him. Dong then asks Bahri why he even tried to save Ratna. Didn't he know that Ratna was a sex worker? According to Dong, Ratna was extremely greedy. To increase her beauty and attraction, she had Susuk charms implanted in her eyes and even in her private parts. But when the time finally came to pay the terrible price for that dark power, Ratna backed out. Dong says that once you make a deal with the devil, you must always pay the price. He tells Bahri that he should have just gone back to the city, but instead, by trying to help, Bahri has chosen his own death. Dong Sen reveals that he used Ratna to spread fear throughout the village. Because of that fear, people would forget Allah and end up selling their souls to the devil, making his black magic even stronger. After saying this, Dong moves forward to kill Bahri, but Bahri stops him and a brutal fight breaks out between the two. During the intense struggle, a fire suddenly breaks out inside the house. Bahri eventually defeats Dong and knocks him unconscious before escaping the burning building. Dong, however, remains inside and burns to death in the fire. At that moment, Ratna's spirit appears. She thanks Bahri for helping her, and then her spirit disappears. The next day, Ratna is finally given a proper burial. The villagers gather to pray for good health and for Allah's blessings. Later, the young man who attacked Bahri the previous night comes to him and sincerely apologizes. He admits that they misunderstood Bahri and treated him unfairly. Bahri, with a big heart, forgives him. Ratna's mother also forgives everyone. In the end, Bahri and Rene's mother place flowers on Ratna's grave, finally giving her soul the peace it deserves. In the next scene, the police arrive and question Ustad Bahri about Hassan's family. Bahri tells them that Hassan lived alone. Then the police reveal some shocking news. A few days earlier, Hassan had been severely injured in a road accident, went into a coma, and eventually died in the hospital. Bahri is left completely stunned because all this time Hassan had been with him. When the police show Hassan's driving license, a flashback appears. The accident Bahri saw on the road while coming to the village was actually Hassan's accident. This means that the person who had been with Bahri all these days was not a living human. Bahri tells the police that he is Hassan's relative and requests that Hassan's body be brought to the madrasa. The police return his ID and leave. Bahri then thanks his deceased friend Hassan. He realizes that finding the true path of Allah or receiving his guidance is not easy at all. It requires great sacrifice. With deep sorrow, he remembers that while walking on this path, he lost his mother, his teacher Ratna, and finally, his beloved friend Hassan. With this painful yet powerful realization, the movie comes to an end. Subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.